America, a country founded on land and opportunity, a country that is founded on many great things. And something that made America different is how it handled poverty. Instead of just saying it's going to deal with poverty, it waged war on poverty. As the term goes often in America, we're waging war on poverty. And really that goes back to early Americas. Because back then, people really started to realize that poverty should not be a thing in America. And really what pushed that was something that pushed and helped found our Constitution, the Enlightenment. And really two cornerstones of the Enlightenment. The second being the improvability of man, and the sixth one, humanitarianism. The second one being improvability, that man can do better, man can be improved and fixed. Then humanitarianism, doing the right thing, helping people. Such things are foundational to the American dream, to the Constitution, to what America stands for. And it really does make America different. And really, these ideas back in early Americans were very different and contradictory to the old world, the European world. Is that really, in the Europeans, you were born poor, and once you were born poor, you stayed in poverty. If you were born rich, you stayed rich. There was no change, and really, there was no middle class, just poor and rich. And so that's what made America a little bit different, is that you could work hard and build yourself up and become successful. You start out, you could have been poor, but you could have worked your way up. The American promise wasn't ease, but that you could work for yourself and make a future for yourself. And also, Europeans looked down on hard work and labor, but us Americans, back in the early days, praised it and honored it. Truly contradictory to the ways of the Europeans. And really, we also believe that we could purge America of the things that led to poverty, being alcohol, mass immigration, sin, crime, children in the slums. All of these things could be handled and purged in America. And this is really what early Americans thought. The idea of alcohol, they believed that alcohol led to alcoholism, and alcoholism led to poverty because people would waste all their money on alcoholism and losing their job and time and money. And so the solution led to the temperance movement, trying to ban all alcohol in all of the country. And then mass immigration. Mass immigration had millions upon millions of people coming into this country, and they were giving every penny they had just to enter this country, which led them to poverty, which led to them living in slums, broken down areas. And the solution to them fixing this was slowing down the immigration, not banning it, but rather slowing it down, which is actually kind of interesting and contradictory to present day, where a lot of people are trying to stop immigration altogether. And then sin. This one is really looked down and not even thought of today. Sin back then was thought that this could be a main cause of poverty. And they thought they could fix it simply by the gospel. And personally, I think that's true. This is something that can be fixed by the gospel. Then crime. Now this is something that is often looked up, not upon today. Back then, they knew crime led to poverty, and poverty led to crime. And so this led to the prison reforms. People fixing up the prison, knowing that they could help these people and reform them in prison, that they could be better off and be led away from poverty, which led to the massive prison reform in America back in the early Americans. Finally, children in the slums. These parents would die on the way to America. Many kids would become orphans in the country once they finally came. However, the people had much more patience for children than they did for adults, which led to the beginnings of the foster care system that we have today. This early start of helping these children led to the foster care system. It helped push the idea of it. We started with sending them to the farms and helping out there, and progressed to the foster care system we have today. And really, all of this is foundational for the America we have and what we have today. Without these ideas of helping the poor, that people should not be poor and people do not need to be poor, without these foundations in American history, we would not be where we are today. Moving on, I was told to talk about something that's really stuck out to me in this history class this semester. And really, I would have to personally say the Enlightenment. Because when we started studying that, I didn't realize how much of those I actually believed, how much of those had been influential in my life. And I had been influenced by them so much without even knowing about them. And so that really stood out to me, because even though my center and core belief in life is Christ, those things really do build another foundation in itself. And so personally, that's something that's really stood out to me this semester, is the Enlightenment, and how those have influenced my home, my country, and all of that we have in today's world. So personally, that's been something that stood out to me and has fascinated me. And I do pray that's fascinated other people too. And I am curious to hear what other people have to say and what's fascinated them this semester. And so I hope you kind of heard and learned a little bit more about the early Americans and how we helped the poor and reformed the prisons and so much more. And I hope They've taken away why I found the Enlightenment to be the most fascinating subject we've talked about in history. And thank you for taking the time to listen to this video and watch it. And I just pray you have a good and blessed day. Take care and have a happy Thanksgiving.